40 breathtaking images that will leave you speechless. Spanish painter Pablo Picasso poses alongside French actress Brigitte Bardot, a striking image from when he was 74 and she was just 21. Known for his romances with younger women, this photograph stirred rumors of a potential affair between the two. An American engineer proudly sits inside the car he personally invented and assembled in 1907. Walter, as he was called, would later develop a revolutionary car rack system used in tanks and armored vehicles during the Second World War. English girls donned bathing suits in 1960s England, symbolizing a period of changing cultural norms and evolving fashion trends. A youthful Madonna, just 21 years old, smiles for the camera in this early photo taken before she rose to global fame as a singer and songwriter. British motor racing pioneer Dora Televitte sets the women's world speed record in 1906, reaching an unprecedented 154 kilometers per hour, a groundbreaking achievement for her time. In Rio de Janeiro during the 1960s, Miss Guanabara beauty contest candidates create a scene as they stop traffic, a reflection of Brazil's cultural love for glamour and pageantry. Motor racing history comes alive with this image of an automobile race on Rio de Janeiro's Gavia circuit. Before the creation of Formula One, Brazil's challenging Gavia circuit became legendary in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s for its thrilling races through the city streets. During Brazil's military regime in 1968, police advance on students holding a mass to honor 18-year-old Edson Luiz, whose death became a symbol of resistance. American girls soak up the sun and laughter on California beaches in the 1940s, capturing the carefree energy of post-war America. British beachgoers wait patiently in line for their turn on a waterslide at a seaside resort in England. 1927. A nostalgic scene of summer fun and simpler times. Two childhood friends from France reunite unexpectedly in 1972, but on opposite sides of a protest. One stands with the workers as a factory employee, while the other dons a riot officer's uniform to maintain order. The struggles of Brazil's military dictatorship era come into focus in this photo of a protester carried by fellow demonstrators after a violent clash. Students played a vital role in fighting for democracy during the 1960s. A glimpse of Rio de Janeiro in September 1964 shows life around the bustling square in front of the Engenho Novo train station. Pablo Picasso is seen speaking softly to a young girl on a quiet French beach in the 1960s. A tender, candid moment from the famed artist's later years. A legendary gunslinger from the Old West leans on a club while playing a casual golf-like game with members of his gang in New Mexico. 1878. The image offers a rare, humanized glimpse of these rugged outlaws. A couple stands frozen with grief moments after learning their 19-month-old son crawled into the ocean waves and vanished. This heartbreaking moment was captured in California, 1954. Women danced through the streets of Moscow in 1947. A bittersweet celebration after the World War II left only 76 men for every 100 women in Russia. Workers forged the colossal chains for the Titanic's anchor in 1910. The central anchor alone weighed an astonishing 16 tons, an engineering marvel of its time for a ship thought to be unsinkable. Bathers bask in the sun on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro, January 1960. A snapshot of carefree days in one of Brazil's most iconic settings. A bus travels along Avenida Barata Ribeiro in Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro in May 1958, marking the daily rhythm of a bustling city. An acrobat balances on top of the Empire State Building in 1934, defying gravity and logic with his daring feat high above New York City. Elizabeth Eckford, one of the first black students to integrate a segregated high school in Little Rock, Arkansas, walks to class in the 1950s. Her quiet dignity contrasts sharply with the hateful screams and stares from those around her. A father, dressed as Santa Claus, poses lovingly with his daughters in 1900, a tender glimpse of family life at the turn of the century. British girls laugh and enjoy donkey rides on Blackpool Beach in northern England, July 1954, capturing the simple joys of summer. Brazilian actress Vera Fischer smiles for the camera in 1968. A year later, she would win Miss Santa Catarina and go on to become Miss Brazil. The Brazilian soccer team celebrates its historic first World Cup victory in 1958 on Swedish soil, marking the start of Brazil's soccer dominance. High above New York City in 1932, steelworkers perch on a beam, sharing lunch and conversation 250 meters in the air during a skyscraper's construction. An American Border Patrol agent pulls a fugitive back to U.S. soil in 1920 to prevent his escape into Mexico, an image of border struggles from another era. At the port of Rio de Janeiro in 1945, families gathered to welcome home soldiers from the Brazilian Expeditionary Force, who fought in Italy during 1945 World War II. British actress Madeirinha Smith, famed for her work in horror and comedy films, poses for a photo in May 1971 during the peak of her career. A bustling day in São Paulo's Anhangabaú Valley is captured on August 18, 1959, as people flood the vibrant square. Three friends embark on a car trip through Ohio in the 1920s, embodying the spirit of adventure and camaraderie in America's heartland. Norma Jean, just 17 years old in 1943, smiles in a quiet moment long before the world knew her as Marilyn Monroe. A man tests an early prototype football helmet in 1912, an experiment in improving player safety during the sport's early days. In Berlin, 1931, a resourceful young boy sells lemonade from a portable dispenser, a snapshot of resilience during hard times. Brazilian beauty queen Marta Rocha parades gracefully during the Miss Universe contest in the 1950s, representing Brazil on the international stage. In 1954, at the age of 18, Marta Rocha won Miss Bahia and then Miss Brazil. Circus performers George and Fred, famously known as the Living Skeleton and the Fat Man, entertained crowds across the United States in the 1890s with their comical boxing acts. Early 1900s, Rio de Janeiro is captured in this image of Avenida Central, now known as Avenida Rio Branco, showcasing the city's architectural transformation.